Since it will always take a few moments, I don't know if you guys can actually hear us yet. We've decided to go a little live since people are actually moving over from the premiere. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Let us know if you can hear us in the chat, please. Once you do that, I will not feel like I'm talking to myself, except I'm not just talking to myself, since Edward can at least hear me. Because normally I'm talking to myself, man. All right.
Sometimes the
Nobody's saying anything.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a delay.
okay, can't hear. I'm like, all right. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, no. All right. Okay. So I think that the final, I think the whole thing ended. And so people, I hope, will be coming over. We seem to be gaining and losing people at a really weird clip. But we decided that we would just be on right now. I hope now we're up to, yeah, something very weird is happening with the stream, but that's okay. Okay. So, everyone, most of you already know us, but I think we just do an introduction, Edward, just in case for those of them who are new, who found it again, who maybe have never gone to an Everdark live stream, who may not actually know you. So, as most of you know, I am Wraith, and I'm the author. I also did the original, very bad version of Dragon's Reign audio back when the pandemic began. That's when this thing began for me. I literally would have trains, which we'll hear today, Mew, my cat, in the background. Sometimes Cat would miss me saying, like, Mew, get away, get down, stop it. That was fun. So all the good times, all the breaths, all the things, all the mistakes. So people enjoyed those. So I am now in this new version of Dragon's Reign 2024 playing Caden and all the female roles. And let me introduce to you, I don't want to say co-star, that sounds like I'm like some kind of actor, but you definitely are, Edward Fox. So Edward, take it away. Introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, wherever you are in the world, fans of Dragon's Reign. So I'm Edward Fox, and I have the pleasure of working with Wraith on this, I guess, version 2.0 of Dragon's Reign.
Exactly.
It's being a blast so far. I'm enjoying myself. And I have to say, I'm a little nervous, Wraith, and I bet you, that moment of releasing out into the wild your creation and hoping the audience go, yeah, or do they go, it's a bit...
I don't know. I know. It was my first foray. I mean, obviously I'd done audiobooks, and I actually was doing audiobooks with you at the time when I did Dragon's Reign.
Yeah.
But it's a completely different thing to be doing it on YouTube versus audio books.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel very different. It's like, I imagine it feels more like theater versus a television show in some weird way. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's a flow thing. I mean, I don't know, when I was just listening to the premiere stream there, I was almost giving myself notes and having to tell my brain to stop it and just enjoy it. You flow there. Oh, gee, what was that? Oh, really? You made that choice? So to everybody out there, it doesn't matter what our egos are telling us. It's so long as you're enjoying the story, you're getting a thrill out of it, going on the emotional ride, enjoying the characters, it doesn't matter.
That's... Oh God, I've actually only been listening to hear you, not your versions of characters. I don't want to listen to myself at all. So I'm like, oh, just fast forward through that. That's good, because I'm always like, yeah, suddenly Caden sounds different.
It's funny how we're our own worst critics. And, it's funny that the comments come up just in the chat here, everybody's going, oh my God, this is great. You sound amazing. Wraith, the original Dragon's Reign was amazing. The passion was there, the joy in sharing your creation. But the comments that stuck out, someone I think said, "Oh yeah, I'm not sure about Wally," and that for me, I know my ego can't let that go, and it's that fear for me with this project, especially, was there's such already a fan following. There's such a fan base of passionate, dare I say, rabid fans, and that's a good thing. I was terrified that people would go, not my Valerius.
No.
because especially with literary work, I'm sure you've read something and you create the voices, you create the world. And so sometimes it can feel like an imposition when an actor comes in and it's like, really? That's the voice you're going with? And I will say to the fans, we'll talk about that later. Um, there is a process where we discussed and listen to the voices and decide which one, which voice is going to be cast. So there was a sort of, I was doing a kind of like New York kind of thing with Wally at some point, being like, hey, hey, I'm a rat shifter here. And I thought, that's a little on the nose. Um, I just sort of liked the idea of trying Wally as a kind of Australian, good bloke who's got a bit of a dodgy past, and also, that old joke about, you know, Australians stealing everything that isn't nailed down. That's
Oh
not
my
no,
God.
it's not true. It's not true. But anyway.
Well,
So
let's put it this way. The US and Australia were supposedly getting the dregs of society. No, we got the best.
we
So
got the
screw
best.
them.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No. I mean, so just so you guys all know, this is the first time. So Edward and I got together before we started recording, as he was just referencing, and talked about characters and what did I see for the character and what did he see for the character. And then, of course, when you are reading, something else entirely happens. But we have not had a chance, him and I, to actually talk about any of this since then because we've both been so busy getting Dragon's Rain down and doing all the other things that we have to do, me for Wraith Rain and the day job, and Edward for all his acting
Yeah.
and his other stuff. So we literally have not had a chance to talk at all about what we're thinking and what we feel now that we've listened to it, each
This
other.
debrief session live. You can get behind the scenes as I get notes from the author.
There we go.
See how we go.
And we also have, so wait, first I should do a little bit of housekeeping, and
Do
then
it.
we're gonna go into, please put comments, like if you have comments or questions. If you have a question, like I don't know, like a couple question marks at the beginning so we can identify it. I know that Edward's better at keeping track than I am. I get hung up. And then also we're gonna be giving away audiobooks and both Dragon's Reign 1 and 2, mostly 2, because I feel like, I want to give people who have already had a chance to get one to get 2. And so that's going to be happening throughout. And Edward and I are going to do a live section of Valerius being drunk, which happens much later in the book. And I can't wait to share that with you. So we're going to do that live.
Oh God.
So I know, I know,
I'm
I
gonna
know, I
get-
know, I know.
Oh.
So first, for those of you who are completely and utterly confused about what the heck is going on and are like, didn't you already do Dragon's Reign? What happened to Dragon's Reign on Spotify? I don't understand. I can't find the old version on Wraith Rain. Is this season 2 of Dragon's Reign? Okay, let's answer all of these questions. This is the original Dragon's Reign. This is not a second season or a quote unquote book 2 of this. It's the old Dragon's Reign. Dragon's Reign is complete. I know people have been begging for another season or more on that. I don't have a good story for that right now in my head. I never say never, but right now it's an utterly complete story at 140 chapters. Um, the old version will continue to be up on YouTube. We took it down on Spotify because it was way too confusing. And I'll be honest, we may take it down on YouTube if it becomes too confusing, because I love the fact that you guys love my old version. I don't want to take anything away from you, for sure. I mean, that's very important. But I'm telling you right now, objectively, this version is 1,000 times better. And who doesn't want to hear more Edward Fox? God, who doesn't? I do.
Oh,
Believe me.
bless.
So just keep that in mind. So what's happening right now? So today on YouTube, the first chapter has been posted, and we are going to have a chapter a week posted on Tuesdays on YouTube, just like Everdark. So you will get every week a chapter on Tuesday. It will go up all through 140 chapters. And we will have to, as we have to do, unfortunately, I think we're actually gonna have to prune Dragon's Reign even more than I did last time because there was some stuff that we missed taking out. We can't have kissing. We can't have any type of sensuality. They're just YouTube is cracking down on this, and I don't want the situation to be where I can't put up anything, right? I mean, that's just not good. Um, but as we do just with like with Everdark, Dragon's Reign, the full uncut version is available for streaming on Wraith Reign. The first 15 chapters of Me and Edward, the first entire volume right now, right today, right this moment. If you signed up for Wraith Reign, you could listen to over 7 hours of Edward and I. So you could hear the whole first volume and as part of a $9.95 subscription. So you could hear it. And members will get a chapter every single week, and they will always be 15 chapters ahead, minimally, of the public podcast, just like Everdark. So just know right that. So if you are members, sign into your account, go listen there after the live stream, please. After. Um, Also, just like Dragon's Reign, we have, in fact, ebooks, audiobooks, and hardcovers in the shop. And I say I'm doing this in multiples because we actually have volume 1 and volume 2 in the shop. 30 chapters of Dragon's Reign are in the shop. One thing that I was finding is that I wanted to listen ahead because I wanted to hear Edward's takes. I have not yet heard Edward's take on Alarion, and I'm going to ask him to do it. I'm dying. I haven't listened to that yet.
Nice.
And quite
there's water.
Ooh. So you can purchase, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. Chink in the chat here, and then we're just going to do and show that. So you can go, and if you want to pick up your copy, you can. Again, just like Everdark, the hardcovers, I hand sign, I put a note into each and every one for people, and I ship them out myself. So I'm very excited to do that. Again, we're going to have brilliant original artwork for all the covers. They're spectacular. No idea. So that is what's going to happen. So it's going to be just like Everdark. You all are probably very familiar with that. On the public podcast, you'll get one chapter a week on Tuesdays. They will be heavily edited, unfortunately, but we will do our best. And we just really hope that you like and subscribe. By the way, please like this stream. Please subscribe to Wraith Rain right now if you haven't, in terms of YouTube. That would really help us out. That would be awesome. That would spread the word. And then on the private podcast, you already have right now, if you signed up for Wraith Rain, you can listen to 7 hours of Dragon's Reign of me and Edward. And also you can also listen to there we go. We have Kat. I'm bringing Kat into the chat. We also have, quite frankly, the old version, and you can just laugh at the old version. That's what we are doing. That's what we are doing. I think that's my quite frankly the one other thing. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot. So members obviously stream the uncut version for free as part of their membership, but they also get, through getting a special code as a member, the $25 audiobooks are only $10 for you. So I have seen people, basically something that would have cost them $50 if they were non-members, they got it for $20. So that's a huge savings if you want to do that. I realize I always feel weird about asking for money, but I'm telling you, this is honestly worth it. This stuff really is, especially with Edward. And we do our best. So, but otherwise, you could obviously listen to Dragon's Reign for free on YouTube. We will be starting to post it on Spotify and Apple and all the other places too. But we do so appreciate it if you can support us in any way. Any thoughts, Edward?
I think that's fantastic. I think that's all very clear. Is anyone not clear of how this is happening?
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like to ask them, like, do you guys know what the hell's going on?
Yeah, there was info dump. Boom.
Boom.
I think this is amazing that I've been reading the chat and sort of, poking around in there and saying hi to some of the super fans that I've seen on streams from Everdark. And I think the nostalgia idea is wonderful. Just how many people have said this is something that was with me or during a difficult time or it helped me get through this or I just love it. I think that's wonderful that this community is so amazingly loving and welcoming and inclusive and not afraid to show their love of dragons and romance and I think it's wonderful. So that's what I'm going to add as my contribution.
Very nice. I love it. So we're gonna do something really fun right now, which is to thank you all for supporting Dragon's Reign and for being here on a Saturday in the middle of the day. We're gonna do a giveaway right now for Dragon's Reign Volume 2 audiobook. What I
Oh,
want you to do is put the word grumpy, Grumpy, in the chat. The Nightbot will pick someone. We will announce who that is. That person should email marketing@wraithrain.com in order to get the code for a free download of Dragon's Reign Volume 2 audiobook. So put Grumpy, in the chat. Oh my God. There's like all been all
boom.
these.
There might have been there was lovely points, some lovely poignant comments there, and then grumpy, a million grumpies.
I know. And then, what's worse is that there were super chats that went by so fast, I can't get back to them. What the heck? Edward, if you can find them, or a cat, if you can find them and just like put them in our private chat so I can at least um, oh
Totally.
my God, this is crazy. I literally can't
Well, you're
go
just going to
back.
the day when there's 1,000 people here listening to this and it just smashes the system.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's the dream.
This is totally the dream. Totally the dream. All right, so we're putting in Grumpy. Okay, Nightbot isn't working. Oh, that's good.
Hey!
So what do we do, Kat? I'm just going to pick someone at random. She says, I have no idea why this is magic. That's always the good times.
I think maybe we just hold off and see if Nightbot comes back and we do it again later and pretend it
Yes.
happened. Can we all just well, we're gonna go for another take, everybody. Just reset to first to go again. Oh
I
my
know,
God.
right?
Keep going.
She's like, yeah, let me test it. Hold on a second.
I think some of you have typed grumpy more than once, just saying.
Oh my God. And I keep missing there are these like super chats that I can't get back to them.
Yeah, I think it's something that sometimes YouTube, when we're live, only keeps a certain amount of the log because I'm having the same thing.
Okay, so you're having the same exact problem.
Yeah. Stupid technology.
I know somebody asked us, hi, Hannah. I think she's listening. We should have had her on because she's had to deal with all the technical stuff with me, like basically, not in a studio and Edward in a studio.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, Edward, this is like crazy.
What have you done?
Okay, yes, this doesn't work for some reason. I can only test it during a live stream. That's good. All right. Kat, could you just randomly choose somebody? And we'll just give some out. Okay. So Kat's gonna randomly choose someone. And just she'll tell me who, and I will read it out, and that person just needs to contact. I so apologize. I don't know what's going on. Literally, I can't stop it. I can't stop the chat. Oh my God.
I know. I'm trying to go back to and find there's some things I want to say to people, and now it's like, nah.
I know.
I can only get back to 12 minutes 10 of the live stream. Before that, it's like,
right?
it's hating me.
It's not doing it. So, oh my goodness. And people have been saying so many incredible things. This is like, honestly. Okay. Yin Fox 07. I'm going to put this on the screen. Wait, it now just made it go away so that I can't even. Oh my God. Really? Are you seriously? Yin Fox 07. you need to contact marketing@wraithrain.com. Marketing@wraithrain.com. This is hysterical. I just like, yeah, like here, this, there we go.
I'm
That
normally
will,
competent, but you're not.
right? I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Oh, this
It's
is
made us grumpy.
crazy.
It was the word. Maybe it was the word.
Maybe it was the word. Yeah, I know,
Forbidden
right?
word. YouTube forbidden words.
Well, we all know who's a grumpy dragon.
What do you mean?
Um, because Kat is the best, she goes, "My internet is also A plus," and by that, I mean not very fast. No, mine's good, but honestly, I don't know what's happening. It's like it's like literally, and, Restream IO is trying to make me very unhappy. It's like deleting chat, like, literally, like, I can't see, those of you who did. Uh, okay. Well, I guess,
Hooray.
this is good.
This
I'm
is
so
good.
glad you all are here. We're gonna do our best.
Good.
Um, great. Basically, Edward, if you could keep an eye on the chat while if you
Oh,
see any
God.
good questions, I know, right?
We
Because
did
I'm
two things at
trying.
once.
I'm like, Jesus. All right. So one of the things that I did want to talk to you about, Edward, and this is so, this is, I think, the most fun for me, especially hearing who you've chosen. So before first of all, I had the unique opportunity to get Edward on board to do this, because he had an opening in his schedule, and so I was like, "Really, you do it? Like, oh my God, you do it?" And I thought I would quote unquote be helping if I would do, half the voices. If I would do Caden and, I would do all the female parts because I
Oh,
thought that
and
would be
no,
helping.
remember the earlier proposal?
Oh, yes.
Trying to do one chapter each. So, for instance,
Right.
I'd narrate a chapter, and
Mhm.
Wraith would do the other voices, and then we'd switch. So Wraith would narrate, and I would provide the voices. I think that was
No.
one, and then we went, yeah,
No.
nah, you ain't gonna.
Well, the thing was that when, Hannah put together the schedule for us under that, I'm like, "Hannah, there's no way in hell I can do it." And she's like, "Well, we need to be done by this date." I'm like, "No, no." So we changed things, namely that he was gonna narrate and I was gonna do just like, Caden and everything else. And I thought that this would be helpful, and it's been a lot of fun, but when you are in 2 very different spaces,
Mhm.
I am not in a, okay, so, at when I first sent my segment to Hannah to listen, she was like, "You need to be reading underneath a blanket."
Yep,
She's
yep.
like, "There's so much reverb. It is so bad." I'm like, "No." And, so I, like, cried to Edward because I was like, "I cannot do this. I cannot do 140 chapters under a blanket."
No, no, I couldn't. I couldn't. But we got together and we put our
Yeah.
big brains together, so we have nearly a full one, and came up with some fixes and some adjustments to the space to knock down that reverb sound, which would be just impossible
Bad.
to. It's
Bad.
one of those things that you don't notice until you notice it. And
Right.
you know that for those who are listening, reverb, it's echoes and bounces off the hard surfaces around you. So if you have a high ceiling, ever been in a corridor with no soft things around, you really hear that. Now, brain kind of filters it out in real time, but when we're listening on headphones, we don't know how to do that. So yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was so so I did get something arranged, but you have to understand, I'm in a condo right now, right by a train line, by 2 train lines, in the middle of a city with lots of, ambulances, and then I have a cat who wants to be the center of attention. So, it takes more time getting her settled, waiting for the trains to pass, and I'm doing this at, like, midnight or 2 AM, so it's quieter, and still, it takes, like, so we have to give Hannah and the crew massive, massive thanks for making it sound so good. Really and truly. So they made me sound as professional as Edward, even in a space that it's like not professional.
No, I think the editing team and the engineering team under Hannah has done absolutely amazing work with this. because I did listen to some of the early samples and was asked my opinion on the room acoustics and things like that, and went, "Ooh, this is going to be difficult because we have to match the sound." That's a big problem with remote recording, is that your room and my room have to sound similar,
Right.
so that the human ear isn't going, "What the hell? They're in different places." So yeah, I think they've done an amazing job. So salute to all the people behind the scenes, Kat, Hannah, the editing and technical teams. Bravo, because I just read into a microphone.
Right? And I'm just like, and, Hannah's telling me this, I'm like, "It sounds fine," and she's like, "No, it doesn't." And one of the things that I really wanted for this, especially, was for it to sound like, and I think that this is as much as when, Edward, you're doing the entire thing, that's phenomenal, and you do all different voices, but I think when you have 2 people, especially in a romance, doing 2, the main characters,
Yeah.
I think that makes it seem more real. I
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me as a performer, we both read it. You wrote it. I've read it a few times now to get my head around what the hell's going on. There's still a magic in hearing another person's voice,
Right.
speaking those words back. So even today, listening to it and going, oh yeah, I think it is magical. Because it isn't. How have you found speaking to yourself in some of those sections? Let me ask you that. So when you have to
Speaking
do a scene and it's just you,
it's not as fun
no, no,
at
no,
all.
you're not. And also the romance chapters with some of the books. So sometimes I have to make love to myself. And that can always that's fine. That's fine. But it's more fun when someone else is involved. Let me just put it that way and try to stay classy.
There we go. But I also thought, just simply, like, believing that Valerius and Caden are 2 different people. I mean, and they're so different, as we know, Grumpy Dragon and Sunshine Dragon.
Yeah.
That's really who they are. And
Funny.
I just found that amazing also because it allowed me to believe there was almost like, this is gonna sound a little weird, Edward. Please don't be totally weirded out, but it was almost like, the excitement, the thrill of finding, that person because it's you. Like, it's Valerius is separate from me now because 'cause you're playing him. So I don't
Oh,
exactly know what you're going to do. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. Yeah. Yeah. There's something like when I read a book, it's the voices I hear in my head, and I hope I'm not the only one. So, their
Right.
voices. It's always me. So the choices I make aren't necessarily surprising to me. The surprise comes from the story, from the author. But with live work, with acted work, there I have been frozen on stage and screen and things when someone makes a choice in how they do what they're doing that makes me go, "Oh, that's really good. I wish I'd thought of that," or something like that. So
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
it does make my brain think that's a different person talking to
Like,
me. So
even though I know what's coming, obviously, in the text, there's still an emotional heft that you're bringing to those words that I might not have considered. And to me, hearing that is amazing because then I feel like I'm Caden. I'm in this tower room with a man who can turn into a massive flying nuclear missile.
I
And
love it.
that, yes, is
Yeah.
like there's that excitement, there's that uncertainty, there's all of that. And I think that that really um is so fun. And
Yeah.
then also when I think of, like, for example, Wally and Marban and obviously Alarion and
Yeah.
Tez and all the ones. But I mean, I really because I could never how shall I put this? Wally, like, I want a best friend like Wally, you know?
Yeah.
So by you playing him, it was like Wally lives because he's not me. I'm not saying the words. I'm not saying these things to myself. You're saying them to me. Wally's saying them to me, if that makes sense.
Oh no, I agree. I think it's been fun, and for me, there's also the process of the voice sort of finding itself. So for those of you who are super fans, if you listen to the subtle shifts in Everdark over time, as the characters and the actors playing the characters lock in, oh, this is who this person is. This is where the voice sits, and it becomes more consistent. But early on, there's often some shifting back and forth. I decided I was going to go back and revoice a couple of characters. There's quite at one point I just went, no, I don't like what I'm doing with this, and I went back and did it again and had to delay some of my deliveries because it just wasn't sitting right. And it
Mhm.
chapters later when I'd seen more of the character and understood a little better where I thought I wanted to take him. So I think it's great as well that we will both go through this together. You know, I think, for instance, what I've heard listening to the completed work, I really feel that Caden, that you really found, you know, your way of expressing Caden a little way in, and it
About
just,
chapter 10, I think, to be
yeah,
honest with you.
much
Yeah.
more, I don't want to say grounded and natural because that's just silly, but it sounded like, oh no, that's Caden, that's Caden,
Right.
that's not Wraith trying to find Caden's voice, that's Caden, and
Yeah.
really lifted it for me. So, and I feel the same way from listening back to my work. There's sometimes when I listen to way I've done lines and go, oh, I didn't like that, and then other times,
Right.
oh, that was good, or I wish I'd done it differently.
I wish I'd done it differently. I know. I'm like, what I really love is when I do the line and then I read the description. I'm like, oh, that's not at all. I have to redo
Yes,
that.
he yelled. That's one of my favorite things. I'll do a voice. I mean, do something here. He yelled, "Damn!" Got to go back. But there's
Aw.
times as well when I love hearing again just the choice an actor makes, and I hope that you as the writer feel, wow, that I wrote something really good. That sounds really good. I
I'm
like.
always surprised about that. Believe me, I'm eternally surprised when I'm like, oh my God, this is actually really, one of the things I love about Dragon's Reign is the humor. And I'm going to say that it makes me chuckle. I hope it made you chuckle a few times.
Yes. Yes, and
Very cool.
that's definitely something for me is I think someone already mentioned it. There's a I don't want to say camp. That's not the right word. I might use that, but that's a good thing for me. Kitsch. There's a
Yes.
there's a humor, a lightness, and a brightness to this world that I think is quite lovely and beautiful. So we can go into dark places in this story with some of the characters, but it's offset by a sweetness and a lightness. So we've got, you know, sweet and sour, light and dark.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Especially
we've got
considering the
bad and happy.
topics,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah. I mean, even early on, we're dealing with oh god, I can't say some of these words because we'll
I
get banned on
know.
YouTube. Um, People putting bombs in public places, people
Yes.
who've been completely abandoned by society, by their families, kicked out of their homes because of just who they are, who rather than, you know, oh, mom, dad, I'm a werewolf. Geez, I
Right.
wonder what we're using that as an argument. There's
I
a
wonder
lot.
what. I wonder what it
What
is, what
could
it could
that be?
possibly be for
Mm.
substitution for, right?
Mhm.
Let me just read this super chat by Leisurely Panda. I swear to God, at least it came back. I'm hoping. Anyway, so I know someone asked recently who was in charge of Australia. Um, Personally, I feel like Kayla would be in charge of that area of the world, Australia, New Zealand, Polynesia, Malaysia, etc. It's really funny because Edward, you're Australian. So this makes sense for you to know who your dragon is. Your
Mm.
dragon is Kayla. Kayla is in charge of Australia. Although it's a near thing because truthfully, May has the is really a lot of the east. And I think, where Australia and China normally are, that's that center of gravity, but I do think that that Kayla has that
I think you're right. It's a
area.
Polynesia region.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So we had another, comment. Could you read the comment from our Valdez for us, Edward, that we put to the side?
Uh, could I?
Oh, I could.
Because you can.
Honestly, they say, Everdark made me believe that I may find love someday. I love that. Um, this is something that I sort of like, I don't know. I know a lot of you already know my not theory. I don't know. I I always feel like there are so many amazing romance books out there, and they're oftentimes looking at areas of things where we would not want that to happen in real life. Absolutely would not want it to happen in real life, but it's titillating, it's sexy, it's amazing, and I've never been able to write that. I always want to write something that's respectful and what I would want if it were to happen. Obviously, it's idealized. Obviously, all the things that happen, that there's a very much a heroic journey for both parties. There's always transformation for them. But my I almost think my books don't qualify as romance because while of course it's a huge romantic subplot, in truth, what is Dragon's Reign really about? It's about prejudice and racism and the underclass and inequality and all of that. And that's what it's really about. And it's like Caden going for recognizing his privilege and, realizing that as someone with power, he needs to do something about it and raise other voices and lift other voices, right? I mean, that's what his story is about. Um, Valerius's story is really I think someone who's been very jaded become very jaded with the world, and he's not necessarily wrong, but not understanding that simply by being jaded and giving everything the side eye and not doing anything when he has the ability to do so is not correct. We must act to try to make the world a better place, even if we've maybe failed in the past or the world has not lived up to our expectations, but we must continue to do so. Alarion, for example, has a huge arc. As many of you know, he comes from a place of fear, not being able to reach out or trust others, and therefore retreating into anger and brutality. And it's when he takes a step. It's when Caden offers him a hand and he actually takes it that everything changes for him and for his people.
Of change being possible.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people who become jaded refuse to think that that's a possibility anymore. I can't quit this job. I can't move. I can't, take the steps I need to take. This is just the way it is. And especially when someone has a lot of power and could do so much good for themselves or for others, and fail to do so, that's a bit of a problem.
And I think that it's also recognizing that each of us, as scary as this is, and it is scary, I especially think with the LGBTQIA plus area, you yourself being out there and trying to model something that's good actually helps. Like being a part of the world, offering a hand, being yourself. I always think that in so many ways we always have the grim dark stuff where, the good person like ends up being slaughtered and whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't. I myself in my stories, I never want to reward bad behavior. I think, it's just like the world may reward it in some cases, but I don't. So when I do like the type of relationship that I put these characters in, I want it to be incredibly respectful because that's what I want to model for the world, but it's also what I want for the world and for myself. So the idea that I think in some ways it's both less and more believable than a lot of the other romance books, I guess, because less believable because it's obviously idealized and there's a lot of heroic actions around it. But I think more believable because it's more what I think we would all want. A lot of us would want in a relationship with someone: respect, love, friendship, all those things. So, and that it's also showing a gay couple not ending, as we've talked about many times, Edward, in despair, right?
Kill your gays trope. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
Or,
like really good.
or both. Yeah.
Um,
I think there's nothing wrong with hope, and I think
yeah.
that I have to agree with people that this romance and love is a great thing to fight for. So I think it gives our characters a very personal reason to take things on. And between you and me, I enjoy in Dragon's Reign. There's a whole lot of phone calls between Len and Caden, and I think you've really written that well. I'm sure, chat. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's a It's a wonderful idea of you hang up. No, no, you hang up. And just the ancient
Yes.
dragon and this young man. And I've been there. I've done that. Oh, God. That my world is changing and I'm looking at things and hearing things differently because I found myself in love with another human. I found my person. It's wonderful. So I like it.
Oh, that's do you remember that scene when I don't know, I'm pretty sure you got to this part. Um, Valerius is on his throne looking at his phone when May is approaching
Yeah.
him in the throne room.
A teenager, like, what? That was wonderful.
And everyone was staring at him, and he's just like he was texting with Cade, and he just sort of slid his phone back in.
I just thought it was such a wonderful thing that you would normally not see from the grimdark leading alpha male sitting in his leather body armor off one shoulder and just sort of quietly smirking to himself and texting cute things and pictures and back and forth.
And the powerful red dragon queen May, who's come with all her mechanical men, is like her smile is just dying because she's like, he's not even paying attention to me. He's looking at his phone.
There's this moment I have planned with an inch of its life, and it's going to land like this, and everyone's going to be very impressed. And sorry, what?
Yeah, I know exactly. I mean, and to be honest, May too takes a real turn, because I think there is a power in earnestness, like true earnestness and goodness. I think that when people see it, and I think Caden represents that true goodness. Yes, he begins naive, but at the end, he's not. He's just truly good. That really reaches these very jaded dragons.
Yeah.
Which they're just like their little dragon. So it gives them something to protect, which is very important.
Absolutely.
I wanted to go to a comment from Full Moon Witch, which actually will lead us back to the discussion of how we decided voices. And I'm talking way too much. I know you guys really want to hear Edward. So
no you don't.
yes, they do.
It says you and your laugh. Chat, you love Wraith, right?
Oh God.
I just brought them into it.
Damn you.
To the question. Full Moon Witch says,
confession. I've listened on ahead to the new Dragon's Reign on the website. I was surprised and pleased to hear Edward's version of Valerius. The accent was unexpected, but so right. Okay, now the people on they've not heard Valerius yet, those who are just in the public podcast, but they are going to hear him today when we do our little section. But can you do Valerius now? Yes.
Yeah.
So they can hear what it's going to be like and then explain your thought process of why you came to do him this way.
Would we like to explain the thought process now, or should we wait until after they've heard us? No, let's do it now. So Wraith and I met, and we talked through, had a list of all the characters appearing in the first 60, 70 chapters. And I just asked questions about that helped me as the voice actor of where to go and look to sort of find inspiration and to start playing, to find where these characters might live. So Valerius, I think, Wraith, you just trying to remember what you said to me, was someone who was an ancient, and he'd kind of been around for thousands of years. So the accent we didn't want to regionally put him anywhere specific and modern that would identify him as being a person from now. And to draw upon people like, and it still was the one that I think I kind of chose, was sort of Conan the Barbarian, that hero from ancient times who has seen things and done things. So I started working. I listened to some Arnold Schwarzenegger, just trying to find the flow of his English. Then looked at some sort of Eurotrash, as I call it. Going on a tour through Central and into Eastern Europe, trying to find. I guess I was thinking of like Dracula from the Carpathian Mountains and finding a fun sign, being aware that I also had to voice Valerian, who is very clearly Russian.
Yes.
So it was, how can I have some of those sounds that indicate a person from that part of the world without causing a problem for Valerian? And I may have, or I may not. We'll find out. But it really, then he's large, so that's about placement. And so I constantly think about, dropping the voice down into the chest and opening up that part of myself.
Cool.
Right. So working on so that's the physical structure of the voice. And then it even things like where they're biting down in the teeth. So Valerian, specifically, he doesn't open his mouth much. Everything is a snarl and a bite with my jaw closed and my teeth closed. Whereas I think It's between you and me, Wraith. Um, Valerius loves to kiss, and
Oh.
I mean, look at how often he's kissing Caden. Oh, did we just get demonetized and banned? I said kiss. But the sensuousness of his lips and his lips flattening and smiling and things is mentioned quite a lot. So with Valerius, there's actually a lot more lip action, moving the lips and articulating, which also in Tezacohara, he has very much got lips. So there's a
Oh,
fun
yes.
that once we have the narrative description in the text, then a conversation with the author about their inspiration, and then for me to go and listen to voice samples, to look at things that inspire me, and to try and build a sort of model that I can keep coming back to. And I've got to be specific because otherwise I'll hit chapter 70 and go, oh God, that character's back. What the hell did I do? So I have out the physical placement, the sound, tempo, and rhythm, musicality of speech. All of these things are things that we can use to find new voices to play. And I can ask you, how about you when you realized, oh God, I have all of these voices I have to play? What sort of things did you think about or do?
Well, one of the things that was very hard was because both Landry and Rose are about the same age.
Mm,
Um, Obviously, Rose is more ancient, she's a swarm shifter, but they're girls of the same age, and so having those voices be different was really hard. Like, I could hear Rose saying, "Dragon boy," like, I could hear her like, "Dragon boy," but that they have some sort of the same laconic, like, stuff where
mhm.
Landry's more like, she's like, "Caden, she's more of an emo goth girl, but
Yeah.
they both have an amount of angst. So I was really hard differentiating them, and I don't know if I necessarily did a great job with that because being the same age of woman and trying to get the right voice in terms of age and yet the same right cadence was really hard for me. And like I said, they have some similar traits, which makes sense because Landry and Rose are Hayden's best friends, and he seeks out these complicated women to be with. So that was, I think, hardest. Then I really freaked out about Esme, but
Yeah.
Esme ended up being easiest, which I was really surprised, but I was like, because I was like, I can't do a British accent. So she's like, "Caden, what are you doing?" So I could do that. And I found that that was a lot easier than trying to differentiate the young women's voices.
Yeah.
But I think the most fun I've had, is with the reporters.
Yeah.
That I can just do anything.
Absolutely. Although I have to say, and this is sort of a bit of a spoiler for the fans, I think that your choices for the White Dragon, Iolair, have actually been quite lovely.
Oh.
You started to let yourself play, and I wonder is that because oh no, I won't spoil that. But it just there was a you're pitching up. There's a very breathian lightness to it, but also an innocence.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the choice you made about Iolair. So when I heard what the team did with Iolair, I went, oh, that's lovely, and it really shifted sort of my vision of Iolair. If that sounds weird to all, vision, literally the thing I see in my head. Iolair became a little more pastel, I want to say.
Yes, yes, a
Rather
little
than
bit.
sort of hard edged and icy and cold and like diamonds glittering on a glacier in Norway. I went, no, there's the colors of a sunset there and those pinks and purples and oranges reflecting off the white, a little more round, a little more gentle. So it's wonderful when I hear you bringing these characters to life too. It, in my brain, gets new information that I can create new pictures, and I like it.
Nice. I think with Iolair, because there was a lot of chirping and churring and purring with them, they don't really use language until the end. Like the end chapters, there's a lot more talking from them. In the beginning, they don't speak because they're new. They're so new. And like Caden, I do think that they're creatures of rainbows and, like, goodness. And
Yeah.
instead of like, you would think like a white dragon because they can be very evil and frosty, but they're not at all. They're
No.
just like they want to be petted. They sit like a cat loaf all the time.
Yeah.
They're very cat-like. The dragons in general are very cat-like. That's whenever I would think about how they would move, I would just have to look at Mew and I'd be like, "Yep, that's what it's going. That's what they are. So it's just, yeah. So with Iolair, it's definitely like it's like one of those snuggly cats that just like wants to cuddle with you all
Yeah.
the time. That was my inspiration.
I like a lot of the head booping and sort of kneading with the claws and the making of biscuits and forgetting you're a 50-ton bear moth.
Yes. 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 Like they could squish you with their big butts.
And well, that's the running big butt jokes with Islay are always fun. I think that was another thing we did just to sort of pull it back onto the voice choices was about as artists we've got to pace ourselves when we have a cast of thousands. And to answer your question, moist towelettes.
Ooh.
Yes, it is. Wraith and I are going to be voicing all of these people in Dragon's Reign, so that'll be fun.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we
So
had to
the whole
take
thing.
steps to
Yes.
differentiate. As I said, the hardest one for me has been Ilarion and Valerius, because Ilarion, the image that I was given was sort of Dolph Lundgren in the Rocky movies. I will break you. That kind. But I'd kind of put Valerius there as well. So how do I differentiate that enough? And I do think that it's about listening back to it and going, "Yep, that's clear," because it can feel when doing it that they're very much the same. Like I guess you're thinking with Rose and Landry, it can feel like, am I doing anything different? But
Yeah.
yeah. And the other one is the audience also will differentiate who it is.
Well, Larian and Valerius are two sides of the same coin. They're who Valerius sort of could have been.
Mm,
I think of Valerian, he's not as old as Valerius. So when I did tell Edward about Valerius, and I think this definitely inspired the Conan thing, because I told him that Valerius comes from a time prehistory. And Robert E. Howard, who wrote the Conan series, has this elaborate world of all these amazing, cultures and all this kind of stuff. It just amazing civilizations that basically disappeared from the earth, and that we can't find them anymore. Like not even traces of them through catastrophes where there
oh,
was magic.
the Atlantean story. That's the Conan thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's when it felt very right for him to use a Conan-esque voice, because that's the time when he comes from. He is sort of more, he was sort of a barbarian-esque type thing like Conan, but much smarter, but not quite civilized. He is not quite civilized. I would say that that's the thing with Valerius. Alarion is later. I mean, Larion's more in our time frames. That so we would have known, because he is from, Russia, that empire, that area there. So he has, in a way, imagine you see somebody who you wish you could be and just think you never could be. And you don't therefore find yourself, because you're always constantly measuring yourself against this person who is not you. And that is him and Valerius.
Yeah.
He will never be Valerius. But that
And
doesn't mean that he's not amazing,
no,
right?
you can't see how amazing he is because he's literally green with envy.
He
Ah,
is literally green with
and
envy.
I've been cut
And
off.
no more for you.
No more for me.
And this actually brings us to our second giveaway for another copy of Dragon's Reign Volume 2. We're going to put the word poison in the
Oh,
chat.
oh, good segue. Good.
I know. You made it awesome. You made it perfect.
High five.
I know. High five, man. So please put the word poison in the chat. I think that
Here we
Kat
go.
is just going to pick someone, since Nightbot does not appear to be working.
No, no, Pablo, not grumpy. I know you had your finger on the paste button there to get in there. It's poison this time.
Poison.
Oh, there was a request. Someone mentioned Irish accents. Ariel Warner.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe we could have an Irish dragon there somewhere. Now we'll find someone
I
for you.
yes. I mean, I can't do an Irish accent, but you can. So maybe one of at least some of the reporters that coming up, or someone that would be good.
We'll find a way. We'll find a way. That does sometimes. I will admit, sometimes I'm doing this accent because I can. I
Because
think
one can.
I like doing that kind of, the potato farmer West Country thing. I was thinking about doing that for Wally, but I don't know if people would like that. Probably would have gone. Didn't get any of it. Poison. Look at how many poisons we've got.
Oh my God, so many poisons. So many
Poison.
poisons. Excellent.
Who's gonna get
All right.
poisoned?
Who is going to get poisoned? So Kat, once you feel it's good. Oh, thank God. So, all right. All right. So no more poisons in the chat. We have a winner. Pablo D120. Pablo D120. You have won an audiobook.
Oh, you won anyway. Congratulations, Pablo. It was worth it. Waiting.
Yes, 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 yes. So, please email marketing@wraithrain.com, marketing@wraithrain.com, and you will get a free copy. Leisurely Panda, this is so irritating. Your live chat, your super chat did not. Leisure Panda asks, can you guys do the someone will die of fun line, but is Valerius and Caden? What is the someone must die? Someone will die of fun?
That's exactly how you should do it. I'll do the first bit and you do the second part.
All right, all right, all right.
Right, I need to find this voice. Someone will die.
Of fun. Yeah, that's them. That's exactly what they are. Oh my
What?
God. Oh my God. Since we're getting into the voices, even though this is going a little bit ahead, Edward, I'd like us to try to do the scene. Because I think people will just because I really want them to hear your Valerius and
Sure,
Marban.
sure.
Because
Let's
this is
let's.
like, yeah.
All right. Well, I'm just going to take a quick break and grab some water.
Yes.
Because
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
where I placement, so I'm staying lubricated. Very important.
Mhm.
Continue chatting with them with the peoples, and say things. Oh yes, yes. Okay, I'm just stepping away for a second. I'll be back.
I'll be back. All right, excellent. Okay, so let me see if I can get through some of these. Um, Leisurely Panda, would you please contact marketing@wraithrain.com? You will be getting a free audiobook. All your support, whatever you want. You probably have already bought everything, but please, if you want something, let Kat know. Contact marketing@wraithrain and please pick out something. You definitely, you're just such an amazing supporter and just so kind. Everyone is so kind, to be perfectly blunt. You guys are really so kind to us. Okay. Oh, wait, found another one. So May says, super sticker, Shiba dog shaking his body from left to right, surrounded by red hearts. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Or it's me. I'm sorry, me exclamation point. It looked like May. I was like, thank you so, so, so much. I mean, seriously, that's just like really huge. Um, Actually, if you will also contact marketing@wraithrain.com, marketing@wraithrain.com, you too will get something of your choice from the shop. Thank you so much. Okay, so Edzene, I think you had the most fun writing the reporters too. You know what? The media in Dragon's Reign felt really realistic. I love doing the YouTubers and all of that. Like there's there's makeup YouTubers who do versions of Iolair, like Iolair themed palettes, and I just think that that would so happen. It's just like, good lord. Um, okay. Okay, so Matthew asks, oh, right. If they're redoing the recording, then Ray's voice of the characters could be different. Oh man, even more excited now to hear this. I'm so glad. My voice for Caden is the same. Some of these are the same as I did them, but they're different because, as I'm doing it years later. So, and I'm falling into it. And I really find Edward's right. I really found Caden, even though I've been playing him for years, like you just find it later. So it's very interesting. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I love the chapters, the interviews, reporters, because it's just, I don't know, it just felt authentic, but it was also a time for a lot of fun. Okay. So yes, this is going to be just me and Edward, not a full cast. We did this we decided to do this very quickly. So, and really like his and my schedule just was the one. And Anna's like, do not add 5 more people, Wraith. I'm like, okay, no, it's just him and I. So Pablo says, tongue-tied and youthful, yet with a purpose and strength when it is needed. Yes, that's exactly who Caden is. That's exactly. Me too. I cannot wait. Trixon, were you the one that actually created Tez? So back in the day, I don't know, a lot of you may not know this, but all the dragons except for like a handful, like I created May, like Caden, Alarian, May, Esme, but we picked a bunch of them. Jahara was created by someone else. Um, Kayla was created by someone else. I mean, obviously I took intense liberties. I'm doing Kayla's voice right now and I'm just loving it. It's like a sort of like it's a little bit granola-y and she's sort of ethereal, you know, and sort of like, okay. But Caden, Ed is doing Edward is doing Tez. Yes, absolutely. You're gonna love his Raziel. I'm sorry we don't get to hear him this time. I am telling you, chapter 2 is epic. Is epic. Hi guys, let's go through this. I'm so sorry. I feel like I missed so many great comments and I hate this, man. Let's see here. Going through poison. Woo-hoo-hoo. So I've always been curious as the order of when they all got their dragon spirits. Like we know Valerius is first. I think Valerius is first. I think Jahara is second. I think Esme is third. I think Anwar is fourth. I think Alarian is fifth. Maybe May is fifth, then Alarian. Then Tez. I think that's the list. You would think I would have that all in my head. I would now, I think, as I've learned so much about world building. I like all these poisons in the chat. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I love the potato farmer. Okay. Edward, let me know when you're back. He's probably getting water. He's getting his water. What's going on, Anto? We just premiered the first chapter of Dragon's Reign with me and Edward. Got to check it out, man. Got to check it out. I hope you enjoy the audiobook, Pablo. I hope everyone enjoys it. I wish I could give it to everybody. Edward was just doing Valerius. So we're going to do Valerius in a second. As I'm trying to get through the chat, I think the line is from Parks. That's so funny. It's a great line. Wraith, I just want to ask, I want to do translation of this summer, and I really want to do Turkish translation. Would you be down with that? The thing is, truthfully, I'll be honest with you, no, you'd have to do a license with me. There's actually moral rights in translation. It involves lawyers and all this kind of stuff. So I've really asked that you not do that. I realized that, I mean, it would involve money. I know that might sound like, well, why not? You're not doing a Turkish translation now. Seriously, it's important. Now, I'm not saying no, never. And if you really would be willing to do where you pay money, well, yes, but otherwise we can hire translators and do it. And we eventually will be hiring translators. So we have to, in order to basically, how shall I put this? Oh God, I think it's important to talk about money and entertainment, but I also really understand that entertainment is not something you need necessarily to live. And a lot of people are used to just being like, oh, it should be free. It's on the internet, or because you think to yourself, well, it's on YouTube, so she's getting AdSense. We get so few money from YouTube. We get nothing from Spotify. That the only way that this works is if people purchase the stuff. And we need to always be increasing where we get funds. So we can't just have someone giving it away. That's just not something that can really happen. So I would request that you not do that. Again, if you have, quite frankly, you have some money in the game that you'd want to be able to, you want to do a translation and you can prove that you're a really good translator, we would be willing to put it up in some places and monetize that. And I know that sounds interesting, but it's necessary in order to continue doing the stuff. I want to be able to pay artists and actors their fair wage, and so that's very important. Okay. Let's see. Could King Daemon shift into a dragon? We'll find out. Shifu, that's so cute. Thank you. I love it. Cleaning the kitchen and listening to my favorite gay romance books. Sweet. I think they would too. I think Daemon and Valerius would be friends or fierce frenemies. I think that they would be like sort of like Daemon and a certain other dragon. That's a good question. I think Esme. No, she's more Europe. Do you remember Edward saying, Valerius, pass me the moist towelettes? You could actually act that scene out now. Good Lord.
Well, we could. Whether we should is another question.
I know. Shifu, thank you so much for that amazing super sticker. We so appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He probably should be king of Greece. I mean, he's like Canada. Yeah, he really is. And I really think he should be more Mexico too, but we'll find out. All right, so Edward is back. So we are going to do a scene from later on in the books where it is a drunken Valerius and Marban come to see Caden at work. So hold on 1 second. Let me just take a little sip here of my drink to get myself lubricated.
Hydrated and lubricated.
Mm-hmm.
It's a technical thing. So if you hear, that's my water bottle. I couldn't find my metal one.
Oh. All right. All right. Let me just try this thing.
Oh. Right.
All right.
We edit all of that out. Team takes out of our mouth slaps and all of those sounds. And all right.
And the coughing that's always happening, or the Anyway, okay.
Okay.
I didn't think shifters could get drunk.
Caden tilted his head to the side as he regarded a swaying, smiling, flushed Valerius who was looking back at him as if he were a plushie that Valerius would like to squeeze. We can't. We couldn't. I mean, I thought we couldn't. But Marban has a magical liquid that changes all of that. Valerius took 2 large steps forward towards Caden and grasped Caden's shoulders. The squeezing had begun.
Oh, magic liquid?
Caden was smiling uncertainly. He liked being touched by Valerius, but was slightly alarmed by the Black Dragon King lifting him off of his feet by 6 inches with astounding ease. He knew that Valerius was simply this strong, but he'd also taken some kind of drug.
Or would it be considered a potion if it really is magical and not pharmaceutical?
Ambrosia! Marban put a finger against his nose and nodded conspiratorially.
Oh, it's a drug. Man, Valerius is never going to live this down if anyone else sees him like this. It's bad enough that Marban is, though Valerius is rather an adorable drunk.
It is truly the food, or rather, drink of the gods. Valerius enthused as he spun Caden around in a circle. He ended up setting Caden down as he stumbled. Caden laughed even as his head spun. He quickly steadied the much larger, staggering Valerius, who thanked him and touched his nose. Boop.
Did you just boop me?
Caden's eyebrows were up in his hairline. You have a very cute nose. Everything about you and Iolair is cute. Small and cuddly and...
Hey, I'm...
Caden blushed as he glanced at Marban, lowered his voice and said,
Sexy. I am sexy, not cute.
Valerius went to boop his nose again. Caden successfully avoided it. Valerius giggled. Valerius giggled. Never did Caden think he would hear such a sound from Valerius's lips, but there it was.
She only let you go out like this?
Caden gestured to their very inebriated states.
You didn't drive here, did you? Please tell me drunk driving is not to be added to your list of things you did today.
Valerius and Marben exchanged a look that had them both bursting into laughter. No, no, we have a driver. Neither of us was even inclined to take the wheel. As to Shione, she thought it was unwise for us to get drunk or leave the castle or come see you or, well, anything we wanted to do, Marben admitted. She never lets me do anything fun. Valerius grumped and went over to the shelves, where the dragon plushies were arranged by color.
I think she wants to make sure, what are you doing?
Caden asked, as Valerius picked up the green dragon plushie. Valerius was nose to nose with the plushie. He thumped a finger against the plushie's snout. You are a naughty dragon, Illyrian. More than naughty. If you continue to anger me, this is what will happen to you.
Valerius, that's for sale, and...
Valerius ripped off the green dragon plushie's wings.
Oh boy.
Caden put a hand against his forehead as the wings fluttered to the floor. Marben snickered and clapped. Well earned! Well earned! I can just imagine Illyrian's expression if you did that to him for real. Though there would be a lot of blood and roaring. That would make it less amusing. Valerius grabbed a hold of the green dragon plushie's head. Caden waved his hands in the air.
No, Valerius, I can fix the wings, but not...
The last was let out in a long sigh as Valerius wrenched off the head. And I will do that to you if you keep speaking of Caden being yours. He is not yours. He is mine. I mean, he is his own. And that is the way of things. Valerius told the headless, wingless green dragon plushie. He shook it, and stuffing went everywhere. Caden actually felt a swelling of warmth within him at those words. Valerius was jealous. He was possessive. He was going to stand between Caden and the titanic green dragon. And then he heard the door open. And then he heard the door open behind him from the shop. Caden? Wally began. Rose said you were getting the plushies. People are getting all riled up out there without buying more merch to buy. Oh my God! What are you doing? You've killed him. Wally said the last as he caught sight of the dismantled green dragon plushie. He raced over on his little legs and yanked the mangled plushie from Valerius's hands. He shook the plushie under Valerius's nose, which required Wally to get up on his tiptoes, and yet more stuffing drifted to the floor. You break, you buy. Valerius's eyes narrowed, and his hands went to his hips. He was wearing one of those revealing yet dangerous-looking armor pieces over his chest. If he hadn't been swaying and hiccuping, it would have been scary to be glared at. If he hadn't been swaying and hiccuping, it would have been scary to be glared at him like that. Illyrian had to be destroyed. It was necessary. This is a doll, not the Green Dragon King. I'm with you on his destruction, but not on the destruction of my merch. Wally cried and shook the plushie again. Considering how much money you owe Valerius due to your improper licensing of his image, Wally, I wouldn't complain about one destroyed plushie. Marben remarked, seemingly suspiciously sober at that moment. Caden looked at him with narrowed eyes. Had Marben been drunk at all? Who knew how this ambrosia worked? It could only affect dragons, though that seemed unlikely. How many dragons had Marben gotten drunk, after all, to test it out? Wally's mouth opened and shut, rather like a goldfish's. King winced. Marben was right about what he'd said. Valerius's image, both human and dragon, sold more than anything else in the store combined. If Valerius really wanted a cut of all that merch, it would put Wally out of business. Or if Valerius didn't want Wally to sell his Black Dragon merch anymore, it would severely cripple his business. Well, yeah. So, here. Wally grabbed another green dragon plushie and thrust it into Valerius's hands. You can destroy this one too. Go to town. Better yet, let me make a line of all of the dragon shifters for you to take out. Caden had to hold a hand over his mouth to stop the laughter from pouring out, as Wally put one of each dragon shifter plushie in front of Valerius, as if they were an army about to attack him. Wally gestured to the line. Go to town. Show them who's boss. Valerius pursed his lips, and then he booted the red dragon. May flew across the room and impacted the wall. Caden took out his phone and started to film, as Valerius continued to take out each plushie in turn. The gold dragon was punted into a shelf. The purple dragon was sent spinning across the floor. The others were sent flying into every corner of the store. Only the blue dragon, Valerius's own black dragon, and Caden's white dragon remained untouched. Valerius picked up the white dragon and his own black dragon. For a moment, Caden thought that, like the little girl had demanded he do, Valerius would press their snouts together in a kiss. But instead, Valerius tucked one under each arm, and then picked up the blue dragon as well. Esme will like this, Valerius said. That was when he realized that Caden was filming him. One of his eyebrows lifted. What are you doing, Caden?
Recording this moment for posterity? Or something like that.
Caden bit his lower lip. He so wanted to laugh. I think not. Give me that phone. Valerius tried to snatch it away, but Caden kept it out of reach and put the phone safely into his back pocket. Valerius was not as graceful when drunk, so he overcompensated and nearly face-planted when Caden sidestepped him. He only caught himself at the last moment. The Black Dragon King scowled at him when Caden remained safely out of his grasp.
Don't worry, my king.
Caden snickered.
This footage will only be used if I have to blackmail you to do something important. And that is the end of that section. And I will tell you right now, every time I'm like, luckily I try to keep a little ahead of Edward because there's a few lines in there that need to be rewritten. It's all good.
My brain was sitting here going, and I have to breathe. And, oh, God. And mouth sounds and clicks and pops. And this is why our technical team and things that you don't even know about get in there and really clean it up and make it, make us look better than we are.
That's exactly right. Kat makes fun of me. She's like, you breathe a lot. I'm like, I'm sorry. I need to breathe to live.
Yeah,
She's like,
you could breathe less. That'd be great.
Yeah, if you could do that, like, or you could breathe at different spots. It's just like, oh my God, I can't. One of the things that I absolutely love about how Edward reads or acts, it's not really reading, it's acting, and there's such a big difference, is that when he's acting out the descriptions of what's happening, do you notice how he puts emotional, he doesn't just say a line, he actually does it to like the emotional resonance behind it, which is fantastic. So you get a feeling of like, you can feel Valerius almost face planting. The timing of it, you can feel that. And it's just so brilliant. And I've been listening to you just a ton and trying to do a little of that in The Night Prince, which I'm narrating myself. Although quite frankly, it makes me want you to do that one too with me. Although Hannah's like, no, but I'm like, I'm sorry. You just, yeah, we may have to do that one. So, that's how you just go with that thing.
Just go with it. Just it's okay. Just go with it. Yeah,
That's right.
I think it's I really enjoy live performance, obviously. So sort of more like live radio dramas. And I think with audiobooks, because the story is happening in our heads along with the listener in real time, it's sometimes important to be very aware of pacing and what is important and what isn't. And it's subtle things, but the way different people sort of key the beginning or ends of things. Like if I flat read things like, for a moment, Caden thought that, like the little girl had demanded he do, Valerius would press their snouts together on a kiss. But that doesn't indicate to me what's important. It's kind of like bad music, bad cover.
Right.
And allowing there to be enough time um, for the person listening to sort of see that image, but not too much time that you get that, yeah, move on, I'm bored now.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's fun. It's really fun.
No. I mean, you're just one of the few narrators who can do that. I mean, there's just narrator, and I'm just gonna praise you for a little bit, and I think this is
Yes.
legit. I'm a big audiobook listener. That's all I do. I can't read anymore because A, my vision is going, and B, I spend too much time in a screen. My eyes need to rest. So I listen to audiobooks. And, a good narrator can kill a great book. I mean, they can kill it.
Oh, oh, yeah.
Oh, oh, but a great narrator can take something that's not that awesome, my work, and make it live and breathe and to be so much more. And you are really I honestly will say that you're the best that I've ever found,
Thank you.
legitimately. So, it's working with you. I feel like in some ways I'm really glad that we didn't have time for me to do the narration because it would have been a really bad combo. It would be like, "Oh, there's Wraith and there's Edward. We'll just skip over the Wraith chapters."
No,
Um,
no, no.
yeah.
See, look, I'm
No.
all which shush Wraith, your work is awesome.
Oh.
We've got to remember that again, our own fears and egos would never let us create anything and never share anything. So nothing's ever perfect, but it's wonderful that this is out there and people are enjoying it. I mean, I've been very touched with some of the things people have said today about how this work has given them some joy, some hope, some feels. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's always stunning to me because, I mean, I write to entertain, I never think that it's gonna have any greater impact than that, and I think if it entertains, that's an amazing impact anyway.
yeah.
So that's really awesome. Matthew asked, "Did you ever think you'd make the jump from writer to actor, Ray?" Absolutely not. I've got a face for radio, let's put it this way. Um,
Oh,
I'm a very cute I look I swear I'm an old Ukrainian grandmother at the age of 50. I'm built like a potato. And I love myself now. It took a long time to love myself, but I love myself, man. But yeah, no. This allows me to play roles and be people I could never be otherwise. So, yeah. Um, but honestly, I can't call myself an actor when I compare myself to Edward and everybody else.
how
I'm
come
just part of
there
it.
let's not worry about it. If people are having fun, we're having fun and we're, able to do these things. That's wonderful. You know?
Yes, yes. That's very true. That's all that one. Anwar probably is, you know what? I mean, Anwar was probably the youngest. You're right. Someone just
Oh,
pointed this out to me. I don't remember my own history.
mm-hmm.
This is not good. Honest to God, I have encyclopedias. I did not do that for Dragon's Reign, and it was a big mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
could not remember the colors of the dragons. I had to go back and look for them. I had to ask people in the comments to tell me, some of them. And I was like, that's embarrassing. But literally, I now have huge encyclopedias of everything for
For
all of these stories.
long form TV as well, they have a thing called the Show Bible, which is sometimes binders full of printed out copies and then electronically of the backstory, the characters, the technology, how things work, and they're there to make sure there's consistency. And sometimes people go, "I don't care," but yeah, they're a real thing, and they're very very useful for any of you who are interested in doing long form content to have an encyclopedia or a Bible, whatever you want to call it, where you record all of your choices about how your world works, who the characters are, so that when someone says, "What order did they get their spirits?" you can go, "Well, look at me. I'm really organized."
Yeah, and I actually did say that Anwar was the youngest. Yeah, yeah, that was good. All right, there we go. Just thinking about, and it's very. I don't know if did you watch the Fallout series, Edward?
Yes.
Which was so fun. Oh my
Oh,
god.
yeah.
But I was thinking about lore drift and the original people were freaking out because they thought that the date for the fall of Shady Sands and the date was nuked were the same, and that would make New
Yeah.
Vegas not canon.
No, it's a
And
different date. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
What I loved
yes.
about that discussion, those producers were talking about how there is also the idea in the world of people making mistakes and not
Hmm.
because there isn't, an internet where you can just Google it, that
Right.
people may have false impressions. And that's the unreliable narrator character. Very useful in storytelling. Uh,
Yeah.
you've seen it all the time when it's like, oh, yeah, Darth Vader killed your father. Okay, that's a plot point. We accept it. We move on. So then the reveal of, oh, God, is that a spoiler? Spoiler alert.
Spoiler.
Vader
I
is
hope not by
your father.
now.
Yeah, by now. That's a big emotional hit. So I love the unreliable narrator when things like that happen. It's not a mistake; it's a feature.
Yes, no, that's very true. I love Tricks and Ass. Actually, were story-wise, were some of the plot holes fixed? No. Oh, you mean it's Fallout or in Dragon's Reign? No. I'm sure there are still big plot holes in that. And again, um, this sounds terrible, but sometimes it's like, well, for me, as you know, Edward, I'm working on various stories at a time. I'm working at right now on
Oh,
Empire
really?
of Stars,
Mm.
Everdark Equinox, which starts on Wednesday. Um, and The Wicked Path and The Night Prince. Those are 4 huge lore heavy titles. And even with encyclopedias and going through and all this kind of stuff, I forget things, but people who are reading it will remember. Because when I actually go back and read, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what that was. Oops, I forgot that plot point. Got to like tie it back in. I'm telling you right now because I could only have time to read the previous chapter before I'm writing the next one, and then hopefully I don't make too much mistake.
Yeah.
But I can tell you right now that you guys as readers probably know it better than me sometimes, which I know is disappointing because as the author, I should know more. But I lose some of it. There's lore drift too as you go on. Like there are certain things that I've decided in Everdark Academy that I love and want to keep in. And I don't care if somebody had a different impression in Everdark because I'm like, no, this is better. So that there's that. So
Yeah.
there's a lovely comment here from Onero. Forgive me if I did that wrong. This is, oh dear Wraith, I have been in a very dark place lately, and just the way you write some people gives me some kind of hope in people in general. So thank you for all your stories. That is absolutely lovely. I'm so sorry that you are in a hard spot. I sincerely hope that you find your way out of that. And if I can do any little bit to raise your spirits, I am happy to do so. And I truly believe this. I truly believe for the most part, people are good. They do try. I mean, we all make mistakes and we let things get in our way sometimes. But I can tell you, like, this is a little grim, guys, but seriously, since my mother died, I have reached out to people that I had written off in my life as too difficult, or they've had hurt me, or maybe whatever. And I'm sure they probably felt the same about me. I've reestablished those friendships and connections. Best thing ever. Give people grace, give them a chance to make it up to you, give yourself a chance to make it up to people. Sometimes they won't accept your apology, sometimes they won't let you back in. Although I sincerely hope, unless this person is truly, and there are people who are narcissists and terrible, terrible things. So don't, not that, but in general, um, do try to give people grace. We just make mistakes. And I can tell you that reestablishing a lot of ties with family and friends has been the best thing I ever could have done. And you realize life is too short and people are not perfect. And oftentimes people will apologize, or sometimes you don't even need the apology. It's weird. They're in your life and they do the good things. You just recognize that people are the good and the bad, those things together, and you have to make that decision. So I'm glad. I really do think that I hope I get that across in my writing. Kiki, which is a super chat, and of course, can't find it, but Kiki says in the super chat, Wraith, I will say it again. Thank you for your love, respect, and inclusiveness of people of color in positive ways. As a huge fan and woman of color, I love you for that so much. Kiki, thank you. When I first began writing, I did not include enough people of color, not as a checkbox, but in my own life. There are plenty of them. And I didn't because I was afraid that I would, not having lived that experience, that as a white woman, quite frankly, would do it wrong. I know that probably sounds stupid, but I really did, until I realized that, you know what? The only wrong way is, quite frankly, to, well, there are other wrong ways, but if you're trying to do it with good faith, and you can make mistakes, but you guys have always been very, um I just very open, and quite frankly, I've gotten, private emails where people have told me things that I simply didn't know, and I've fixed it, and I'm learning all the time, but I think it's enriched the stories, it's made them far better, and it absolutely should be there. I want people to see themselves in this world, because y'are in this world, absolutely. So that's, thank you, Kiki, so, so much. Yin Fox says, Wraith, I want to say that you really inspire me to write my own uh WF, I'm not quite sure what that is. Romance fantasy. So please be proud of all your work. You're amazing. I'm thrilled. Listen, guys, this is like a golden age for writers. We no longer have any gatekeepers, good and bad, but we have no gatekeepers. I could not in the past. I mean, Edward, we would never have been able to find each other in the past, or Her Grace Reads in the past,
Mm.
before independent authors got to weigh in through Amazon. So Amazon may be bad in lots of ways, but my God, this is amazing.
And want to say to Yin Fox, do it. Write, create, and then you can decide if you want to put it out there. Uh,
Right.
you know, maybe it's only one person that reads it and loves it, but that's enough. Get it out of your head. That's the best advice I've heard about writing. Get it out there, write it down, because then it becomes objective. You can go back and look at it and go, no, this is a load of crap. I'll put that away. Or, no, there's something here. And, remember that writers like Stephen King apparently have rooms full of scrap and things that they started developing and then went, nah, doesn't work. That's fine.
Absolutely.
And it's how you get better, and it's fun.
I mean, I think anyone who's been, and there's a lot of people have been with me from the beginning, and they will tell you, and you will know, reading my early stuff versus my now stuff, I have improved. It's not only, it's
Ab-
like a muscle, right?
Absolutely. Is. Yep. Absolutely. And your use of language, your ability to write dialogue, because we've been working together now for a few years.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. And it's difficult sometimes to get honest feedback from loving fans because everything's amazing and wonderful, but it's hard. It's hard work, and you've got to learn to do it, like painting, like baking, like anything. Just do it and you get better.
It's just such a, and to be honest with you, you guys, the members who, and they've said to me, this doesn't work, or, I really hope you get this. The best things are oftentimes the things you guys suggest, but you've been very kind about it. And I think,
Yeah.
the kindness about it, because I am like, I want to please you. I mean, that's the whole thing. You're an entertainer, right? Edward, you like want them to be happy.
Yeah.
Um, but it's really great when they're like, oh, I see what you were trying to do here. I don't think this really worked. And then we can fix it. And oftentimes we can fix it.
Which is
Um,
so fantastic. And look, in the chat now, there are 3 people I count who are talking about the inspiration. I think that's another thing, is this space that you've created, Wraith, is one where people can be inspired to create for themselves and to get, I think loving is the word, and it can be honest but not brutal, because I'm sure
yes,
we've all had brutal teachers that we've wanted to learn something and we've been so put off by people being just cruel in their feedback. And it might even be correct. But here it seemed to me that the community is incredibly supportive and is honest as well, saying that's not really an accurate or appropriate representation of this person or this situation. Have you thought about? But I've never
yes,
seen anyone say, Wraith, you're wrong, don't do that. Maybe you get
right.
those
I
privately.
think I've gotten one. One. Everdark is very white. It's very white. It just is, even though we have our beloved Fiona, and that was a mistake. And then I think I've amended that a lot in Academy, and I will mend it more in Everdark Equinox. But I got, um people were just very like, could you? Would you? I think I got one guy that was really mean. He was really mean. And the thing is that the members, like, just responded to him and said, "Hey, you might have a point here, but how you're saying it and how you're behaving and saying that she has bad intentions is not going to help, is not going to change anything. You're just, she's just going to back away and not do it." And
Yep.
they were like, "Absolutely not. This is not how we talk to one another." And that's been a huge thing. Um, which has made me much more, to be honest with you, uh, willing to maybe put myself out there and make mistakes because I know that it's meaningful.
Absolutely.
Um,
Nothing wrong with making mistakes, especially when you have support and safety nets, is that you can correct the mistake and then you can be righter next time. And we've
right,
so much going on in our little worlds, and sometimes we aren't aware of the privilege we may have, or the experiences that we may have may not be what other people have had. And so I think it's important that we share them and we voice them and we listen also to what comes back. Just a note, Wraith Yin Fox has just mentioned
yes.
WLW stands for Women Loving Women.
Thank you, sweetheart. I did not know that.
There you go. We've learned something new today. WLW romance is Women Loving Women romance.
Let's
Fantastic.
put it this way, we need more of that out there because there's not a ton. It's really sad that there's not a ton. I
Well,
don't
I
even understand
enjoy
this.
that even in Dragon's Reign, you do bring that up. There's
Yep.
a wonderful scene where, spoilers, Rose calls out Wally for telling a story about May. And Caden, being Caden, is absolutely in love with the sort of romanticized version of May as the victim.
Yeah.
And Rose calls her out. And what I loved about that is that Rose was operating from the position of a person, and it was Caden who was bringing in the genderized romance
Yep.
attitude. And I think that's great that we can examine and explore what are really difficult conversations that we need to have and spaces to have them and be educated about, but with the wonderful chocolatey goodness that is the fantasy romance queer space, so it doesn't become a didactic lecture or one of those virtue signaling identity politic things of you're
Right,
bad
right.
because it's maybe you're just ignorant and that's normal. So, oh God, I've gone on a rant. I'll stop now.
I love it, Edward. Well, I want to also read another super chat from Kiki. By the way, Kiki, please email marketing@wraithrain.com and please pick something up. You've been so generous. And I'm so sorry that I can't get your super chats up because the whole system won't let me do it. But she said, or they said, I don't actually know, Edward, last on Everdark lives rent free in my mind. And Balthazar has been my bestie in my mind since I began the Everdark adventure.
Amazing.
Well, I think I'm not saying anything that Edward hasn't said out loud, but he really sees himself mostly in Balthazar. Balthazar is your favorite character in Everdark, isn't he? I think he
I think
is.
so. Yeah. Yeah. Yes,
And
he
that
is. Yeah. I really love Balthazar. I think he's one of those wonderfully, I'm not saying I'm wonderfully complex, by the way. I don't know what the hell is going on with me, but I like Balthazar in that he is someone with strong wants and needs, but also strong internal conflict and doubt, and appears to be so well put together and to know what's going on. And he
he
doesn't.
does. He does appear that way. And it's just that I think that's why he's just so likable because all of us are like, he's looks so cool on the outside, but we get to see all his angst on the inside and insecurities. And it's like, oh my God. But I think Vizio says, guys, I have to be honest, Mephi is my favorite character, and I have no regrets. Mephi, Mephistopheles, Mephi the battle cat is one's favorite character, and I am in love with that idea. We are going to do another giveaway, guys. Again, I'm sorry that it's so frustrating that Nightbot is not working. So the giveaway in this, the word to put in the chat is sunshine. Sunshine, 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 and you'll get a copy of the um, Dragon's Reign Volume 2 audiobook. So put sunshine in the chat. And of course, now the chat's gone insane, which is excellent. And I'm losing all of the comments. um,
Have we got a winner? Have we got a winner?
Have we got a winner? Hold on a second here.
Oh, who said goodbye? Chaos 316. Goodbye.
I want to get drunk with Valerius. Who doesn't want to get drunk with Valerius? Chef's
Oh,
kiss.
we have a bot.
Oh no. Wait, I have to find the bot
Look,
and ban
sorry.
them.
I want to offer promotion of your channel.
Oh,
Viewers,
thank you.
use. The price is lower than any. Go away, you
Go
horrible.
away.
Someone will get killed.
With fun.
With fun. Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. I've got to find the darn bot. Hold on.
Kill it with fire. Come on, do it right. Express Seth.
Express. Yes. Oh,
Bam.
Ian Fox, thank you.
Kill it.
God, guys.
Ariel Warner asked me if I read the comment about the great stuff he wore. I think that's awesome. I did enjoy reading that that section. It was one of those visually fun things. If I was filming it, that it would be a lot of fun. And there may be some sort of slow motion stuffies and dragons flying through the air with some music playing. But that's my version in my head. That's my head canon. Is that the term? The great stuff he wore, Ariel. The great stuff he wore.
The great stuff he wore.
That day.
All right, hold on a second here. And of course, no, I can't even get down to it because I'm like, I'm going to lose all of this. I find it.
Yep. No, dear.
I know. I know.
This is my brain always tries to fill in context. There's like comments that it's like, what is? Wait. Yes. Joe, it was a fun scene. Fun scene.
All right. Okay. Unnecessary Mango. You have won the Dragon's Reign Volume 2 audiobook. Please contact marketing@wraithrain.com, and Kat will give you a wonderful code for you to use. So Foxy Eddie says, if I ever finish, oh no, this is Leisurely Pan is saying this. Okay, Foxy Eddie.
Foxy Eddie.
If I ever finish my gay fantasy fave version of Beauty and the Beast, will you narrate it? You're Foxy Eddie. Oh my God, yes.
Maybe I should another sort of audio. Depends on if it's any good.
There we go.
You can always reach out to HGR Studios and make them an offer and talk to them. That's who I work through for things like this. And if it's fantastic, we can talk.
All right.
I usually don't say no to work unless it's something which, when I read it, I go, yeah, that's not something I would feel comfortable with people sitting in a dark cinema watching it, if that makes any sense. It's sort of my go-to is I've been offered roles where I think of a person who would sit and watch this or read this and kind of get off on it. Not okay. So things like torture porn stuff type. And I'm not saying literally torture porn. I'm sort of saying movies and things whereby it's very exploitative of violence and things like that. I'm like, no, I'm good. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy violence when it is there to be entertaining and like I love the John Wick films, things like that. They're great fun, ridiculous violence, but not stuff where it's let's chop up a young woman or an old woman or a helpless person and ick.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Let's talk about plushies more.
Plushie wars. I do not have names for the other kittens, and I should have. I mean, I'm like, oh my God. Asmodeus is definitely got to be one.
Baphomet.
Yes. Asmodeus and Baphomet sound perfect for things.
We can come up with them here in the chat.
I know exactly. Like they all have it. Oh yeah, here I finally found this one. This is we are going to add to block list. Thank you. We're gonna block that person.
Good idea.
Okay, what's going? Oh my God.
There's a chat here that I can see. I would love to have a modern to ancient Asian BL time travel romance with a prince, crown prince, and an emperor falling in love with each other. Hell yeah.
I know. I always love these like things that they send me, and I'm like, guys, honestly, I'm like, you should write it yourselves. I can't, I can't do it half as well as what you would do. I think that, and this is one thing that I guess I don't think people realize this, but a lot of times Amazon writers, they write to trend. Okay. They have to, because that's what Amazon will pump their stuff out to. They don't have a list of readers. They don't talk to their readers. This is just whatever the algorithm says. So they have to figure out what's to trend and they write to that. I write what I want to write. Luckily, it's what you guys want to read. I mean, I think of myself as the James Patterson of MM, in the sense that you always know what you're going to get and it follows a formula. But I mean, there's different things, but there's same things through, and you sort of know like that's what you're going to get. So I always, when people have these very elaborate desires for certain characters and things and all this stuff, and I'm like, guys, like, A, most of it's not my bailiwick, but two, write it. It isn't yours. It makes you happy. It's basically, how can I say, it makes it like, if that's what's in your head, if that's what's in your heart, put it on paper. It's gonna work. So I would love to do plushies, but we've looked and they're so expensive, and I cannot have 10,000 plushies from China in my dining room to make it realistic.
A garage full of plushies,
A
yeah.
garage full of plushies. I already have a ton of books. So, but everyone's like, they all want the plushies. I know. And I'm just like, I can't. Okay. I think this is true. I can finally tag people. This YouTube experience has been less than impressive today. Yeah, it's everything has been a little bit like, this has been so fantastic having all of you here. I'm just sorry that we haven't had a chance to, quite frankly, like, get to everybody. Oh, Keanu Reeves is getting married, Edward. Oh my
Oh.
God. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
did not know this. Who knew this? Yeah, everyone wants the plushies. Everyone wants the
Oh,
plushies. Yeah, the
well,
chat
one
is
day
really
when we're
bugging.
rich and famous.
Yes. So this is like, I mean, okay. This is good. Someday we'll have our dragon plushies to engage in war with. Ha ha ha. Yeah, I know, right? Um So another question I have for you, Edward, while I'm like trying to scroll through and actually get
Yeah.
to
What does that
comments,
go
which
back
is
to our
like
yeah.
ridiculous. Um, what hold on one second. Like, hold on. Is it easier, or does it even matter that when you're working with someone new, like, obviously you work with Hannah on a bunch of audiobooks, and you've obviously gotten used to working with all the guys and gals on Everdark. Does it make any difference to you in how you prepare, read, think about things, or not really at all?
Yeah, yeah, of course it does. To me, things like this, performative arts, are a collaborative process, in that you need everybody from the people behind the scenes, the techs, even the people bringing you coffee and give you a place to sit. So absolutely it matters who I'm working with, because there are people that make it easier, people that make it harder. And I love people that are professionals and generous and giving and supportive, but also have just done their work, who show up prepared and challenge and inspire me to be better, to go for it, to try to make something worthwhile. Because not everybody's like that. What I do is a job. It absolutely is. It requires technical skill and practice and all the rest. But there are some people that, let's just say, show up, haven't prepared, think it's about how pretty they are or interesting they are, or do you know who I think I am? And
Mm.
that sucks. That really sucks. So the idea of me then giving my all, I start to go, well, why bother? And I have to fall back on, because I'm a professional, because this is what I do and I love it. So yeah, there are some people it's easy to work with, some people that I really enjoy working with, and I think that everyone's the same. Once you build your team, once you build your family of artists, it's wonderful, because you develop a sort of a shorthand. You know what everyone's good at and what they're not good at, and you don't ask them to do what they're not good at. And you know you can trust them, and that's the other big one. So for me, Hannah is fantastic in that they know my foibles, I should just say, well, and how to keep me on track, and how to go, stop that. don't do that, and help me be more efficient with my time and to just deliver better work at the end of the day. So yeah.
I can see that. I definitely can see that. I mean, obviously, I feel like my game has been upped working with you guys. It's taught me a lot, and that's it's like made a world of difference. Like I said, just listening to how you guys do things, and then learning the technical side, and then asking Hannah to do something, and she's like, "Well, if we do that, this is the cascading chain of events that will happen after that." I'm like, "Oh,
Right.
really?"
You just
I
don't
just
know.
but this is no big deal, surely.
Yeah.
Well, actually it is.
Yeah.
You know, but, yeah, I mean, it's to be honest with you, it's just been really addictive to do it. I mean, obviously, I'm reading The Night Prince, but I just find it so fun to have someone to work off of,
Mm.
even though you're not in the room, obviously, with me when we're doing it, but the thought of you reading it and then thinking to my head, like, "Yeah, this is what it's gonna be like back and forth. There's gonna be some kind of interplay," has been a great difference. And just thinking about what you're bringing to the characters is really, really exciting. And we just found out that Keanu's, fiance, she asked him to marry her, and I love it. That's exactly how this should go. I mean, really, Keanu needed to be snapped up. I don't know why I'm suddenly obsessed with this. I mean, Jesus. I mean what
Um,
the hell?
but
I
I
get
believe
I
we're
get
talking about
that.
Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we forget now, sort of, who?
Who?
Oh.
What? Um, okay. Someone wants you to say something. May I ask, Edward, isn't M from Never Say Never Again and Lost in Space? Huh?
Uh, M,
It's from I don't
Never Say Never
know.
Again and Lost in Space. I'm thinking that the Bond film, Never Say Never.
Yeah,
Yes, M's, I think Judi Dench played M in the latest ones.
which is so much better than Ray Fiennes. I'm sorry, Ray Fiennes. I do like you, but you're no Judi Dench.
No, well, yes, very true.
It's very true. All right. I
Cinema Dream,
actually,
unaware of the context. Can you give us a little more? And we'll
yeah,
we'll answer.
yeah. I
Um,
posted that and I didn't know what they meant, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Oh,
what I've enjoyed working on Dragon's Reign, apart from there already being a sort of record there, was that I, for instance, pronunciation of names, I've been able to go and check them with your already recorded work, also looking at comments. So that's been great, and that there's already a resource there for me to draw on. But also being able to say, who is this person? Where do you see them going? And then taking that information and sort of putting my own spin on it. So again, that collaboration is why I like working with you, because I have worked with people who just go, no, that's not it. No, no, I want it different but better, and can't give you any information about what they want. Yeah. Would it be a little less crap?
could you be a little less I know, right?
Right?
Just, a little less sexy, a little more, at least you have that. It's just like, good
Yeah, yeah.
God.
I also enjoy that we're, things like I really like things like play in music and play out music, and that is, I believe that's taken care of on your end by your team.
Yes.
Faith. I really love that. I'm a huge music fan, and I would get in trouble because I'd want to put atmospheric music on audiobooks or sound effects. But again, the cost of that is obscene. Uh,
Yes.
just having all of that sort of stuff being put in. But
Well,
it's
again, it's like we have I lucked out because just like having like you guys do this with us, we're really professionals and like real professionals. Kat too is, as some people know, an incredible composer, musician. So we get to have that
yeah,
Forever Dark and Dragon's Reign and all of it. So
yeah.
it's really awesome. I get that benefit. Just this is something people may not know. Did you know that I wrote a Smallville fanfic? I did. I did long ago, and I never watched Smallville. Do you know how I wrote the fanfic? I read all the fanfics and decided what I was gonna
Oh,
do.
God.
Oh my god.
Of-
Uh,
And I think I auditioned a few months ago for Lois and Superman. So
did
yeah.
you really?
Oh yeah, multiple times. Yeah,
Oh my god.
it's a job. But yeah, it's just fun when they give you something and you're like, and they redact all of who the characters are, and you then have to get on the Google Foo and try and work out who is this person? Are they from the comic books? Are they a superhero? Or are they? Yeah, it's fun. Trying to make that dialogue work can be something too.
I know, right? I
Well,
know you can't I mean, unfortunately, Edward can't tell you who he really is because he's a working actor and you've seen him in
I'm
things.
not the Edward Fox from the James Bond series. I think he may be deceased or quite.
Quite
Uh,
elderly, I think. But he had it's really funny, when I first got your name, I did Google you, I thought it was really you. That was your real name, and I found him, and I was like, "Well, it could be," but I'm like, "How could an 87-year-old sound like this?" I'm like, "Oh my god."
versatility.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. I was like, "Wow, well, maybe." I'm like, "Well, how would this ever happen?" But one thing that I just wanted to ask you, and obviously you can't tell shows or anything, but have you had, like, a favorite character that you've loved to play that you could just describe? You don't have to obviously know names or nothing
I,
like that.
I'd rather not.
Okay.
That's okay.
Alright. No problem.
Well,
Alright.
smart, and I'll work it out in about 30 seconds.
Oh, you're right. That's probably true. Yeah, we talked about makeshift before the Dragon's Reign plushies. Yeah, I have to look into that.
Look,
Thing is, Kiki is so smart, but we're just don't have enough people to do everything. But maybe we'll get into that because we're doing Dragon's Reign now
I
again.
would just wish there would be some Dragon Reigns cosplay, but that's just me. Just, mhm.
And we had some incredible Empire of Stars cosplay, which was just spectacular.
And some great fan art out there as well, we'll say,
Yes,
Reign,
yes,
and
yes, yes, yes,
animations,
yes.
all sorts of things. So I just think this is fantastic. So you've touched on something. Yeah.
Oh, yes, they were asking if you were. He is not that Edward Fox,
No,
as he
not that.
said. He is not that Edward Fox.
No,
He
he's a
would be nearing 90.
actor who I know exactly who you're talking about. Did a lot of wonderful, wonderful stage and screen work in the 70s as well. So not that one.
I mean, that's yeah, no. I mean, although he has a beautiful voice from that time.
Oh, he does.
Hate is having a toothless plushie from Build-A-Bear close to Valerius's dragons. Yes, I think that's true. I think that's very close.
I think
Um,
maybe Iolaire. I'm not sure I see Raziel as toothless.
no. Oh my god, no. Raziel is I can't wait for you guys. Those of you who have not yet heard it but trust me, Raziel is incredible. What he did for Raziel, spectacular. Hannah and the gang then added some fun things for that, and it's just on Tuesday, you will hear it. You will hear it.
Mm,
Tom Wells is very hot.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a new show. It's Lois and Superman. It's not Superman and Lois. But yes, that one did get cancelled after season 3. But there is,
Yeah.
I think it's in season 4 now. It's CW, of course.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just trying to Google it.
Oh yeah.
It's
Let's
the more, I don't want to say grounded.
a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's the one we're talking about. Yep. That's the season 3. Yep.
The one thing that I think that, the CW gets a lot of crap for, but I love is it does a lot of genre,
Yeah,
you know.
but it isn't cancelled. It's going to season 4.
Okay.
I don't know if I was meant to say that but I'm pretty sure that's public information.
Oops.
Oh, oh well.
Cat editing that out later.
I just was like, really like their choices about their portrayal of Lex Luthor is really fantastic. Just a very different take than we've seen before since the sort of 70s. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about.
I have not. Can you sum it up? Because I love
Often there's certain tropes in fiction which I get, they're easy, but to me they're lazy as well. And in this one, obviously it's Superman's raising his family, and Lex Luthor's been in prison. And rather than him being a sort of what we'd think of as a tech nerd or someone who may be manipulative or intelligent or charming, the sort of the Gene Hackman version, he is big. Like, the actor is huge. He's 6'4", 6'6". He's quite a big guy. He's tough, bald. Like, he could look like a Hell's Angel. And he's also smart and manipulative and
excellent.
physically and absolutely mentally and emotionally twisted up. So
Wow.
this is interesting. It's kind of like if we sort of think about that old trope that why do archers, why are the women always archers, and it's all about dexterity and being nimble, when to draw a warbow you need to have massive shoulders. You
Yep.
need to be strong to pull a warbow. Why do we stick to these things? So I just like it when people decide things like, oh, Sherlock Holmes isn't going to be a smaller feet gentleman, he's going to be a big thug. Let's see what happens with that. And we get Tom Hardy's sort of some of Tom Hardy's work in, what was that show we did? Oh, I'll remember it later. Anyway, I'm ranting again.
It's all good. It's all good. Do you have any favorite anime right now? Do you watch anime? I don't even know if you
Yeah,
do.
yeah, absolutely.
I know you voiced some of it, haven't you? I
Yeah.
think you've voiced cartoons. Yeah.
Yes, I have. Yeah, that's an odd one and a hard one. It's actually a lot harder than you think to make anime work because frequently there are cultural differences. The lip flaps don't match at all. It's really, really tough.
I was wondering, like, also to make the, because I imagine that the this is something I wanted to ask you, and I'm assuming you do know. Obviously, when the original work is in another language and they're translating it to English, don't they have to somehow make that what they're saying match up with what the mouth is doing a little
Yeah,
bit?
that's called a lip flap.
Okay.
And you try to do that, but it's just not possible with some languages because the length of words or sentences, it just doesn't make sense. So in English, the character might say yes, but that's not how the affirmative is said all over the world. So it's a different thing.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Sometimes you add words, add things to sentences. Sometimes you have to cut things. But I don't speak a lot of those languages, so I wouldn't have a clue about what the original line was. And one of my favorite things is to listen to the original to gauge the sort of emotional timbre and keying. But again, that's a cultural difference. Not every language is the same as English. In fact, English
No.
is a silly language.
It's a silly language. It is.
And even things like keying, this is for all of you fans out there, that different dialects of American English will key different things, will have more flow. Like, there are some American dialects, they'll flow through the line and drop off at the end. And they'll draw things out. And others are very, there are British dialects that are very choppy and very different. So there's a musicality to it too that we've also got to get right with these damn characters. For language,
Yes.
yes, I have done video work for games. Again, another great, and motion capture and performance capture and all sort of things. I love doing those. They're really fun, but just very sweaty.
Very sweaty. I would imagine those bodysuits with the balls. Like, oh my god.
Mhm. Yep. Long hours in concrete bodies capturing all that. Yeah, but it's fun.
Ooh, oh, that's cool though. Super chat from Shefu, at Wraithwood pairing. Did you use of course, Lex and Clark? And I made Lex evil, yet he was protective of Clark. He used his money and his mind and his ruthlessness to protect the innocent, which is what I love. Okay. So is this Dragon's Reign a complete rewrite or more minor changes? There's no changes to it other than me when we're reading it and going, that line made no sense. Let me rewrite that before
Right?
Edward gets to it. So there's no it's not a rewrite or anything like that.
That happens all the time too, because some things that are written, they're very difficult to say out loud. Long run-on sentences, as I'm sure you're finding, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Oh God.
No, it's the lawyer in me. Kat's like, when I see you need to use a semicolon, she wants to smack me. Basically, like, there's no semicolons in this. She's not.
I'm one of
Yeah,
those. I put dots and then thinking, it's like you can't do that. That's how people speak, but you don't get to write like that.
right. No, that it's just like, I just love my complicated if then sentences, obviously, because I don't know, man. I I've gotten out of it because I'm no longer writing briefs, thank God, away from that. But
A hell of a
truly, that was hard in the beginning because I'd be writing briefs during the day and then writing fiction at night. And it was like, it should be like neither the twain should meet, but they were meeting a lot. Um, so it's just, ugh, but it's better now. It's better now. Okay, so everyone's agreeing with you by this way with Lois and Superman show. Okay, Yes, games. Sorry, I'm going through all of this. We should we're coming up to the we're beyond the 2-hour mark, and we've kept Edward, and he's been so kind to be here. So I'm going to say, please get your last questions in so that we can release him in a little bit. Can you stay like maybe 15 more minutes? That's okay.
Where are we at? I can do that for you all. Yes, love to.
All right, and then I'll let you go. But I don't want to keep him forever. He's done so much for us, and it's just been really, really awesome as always. And I feel like, I don't know, we're gonna have to talk about the behemoth and how that sounds. We're gonna have to talk about, I guess, more characters as that all turns. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard too, because sometimes in a project you're like, oh God, I now have to do this accent. And I don't know about you. How do you feel, Wraith, about if, for example, you want to include people of diverse cultural backgrounds?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the actor voicing what may be a stereotypical accent? For instance, I chose in this a character by their name. I thought, okay, that's indicating a certain ethnicity or nationality. But I chose to just voice them with an American accent.
Yeah.
Because there are people of incredibly diverse cultural backgrounds all around the world. Versus going, okay, this looks like a, let's say I see a name and I think, oh, that's Australian. If I don't have a problem with doing
Sharoney.
Sharon, L, but I might feel differently if you ask me to voice, a character who is clearly identified by their name as, say, being from Vietnam. I don't feel comfortable with voicing a Vietnamese accent in a way that people would go, that sounds like a Vietnamese person. My attempt, I think, would be dreadful and probably sound a little stretched and awful. So how do you feel about that? Because we do have characters in these books because we want to include people, but the sound, what do we do?
Well, that's been very difficult, especially May, I'm obviously I'm not attempting any type of accent, but I'm trying to capture her intelligence and her ability to really, she's got two sides of her. She's got a facade that she puts on as this beautiful but almost like she portrays herself, quite frankly, as like a beautiful flower without any thorns. And the truth is that here's May creating, like, killer robots and planning her conquering of the universe. And you don't want to turn your back on the red dragon. And she, in fact, I feel like spoilers, even though some people have heard this and some people haven't, but she's not that. She did not begin that way, and that's not who she is. She clawed her way from the bottom echelons. But I would feel really weird about trying to take on an accent that A, I'm not good at, and B, it's not who she is. So what I'm trying to do is embody her through the intonation and, like, sort of a when she's trying to be, like, for example, her sweet, pretty flower self, she's like, her voice is a little higher, right? And she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, King Valerius, it's so good for you to have me here." But when she's really her, she'll be like, "Valerius." Suddenly her voice is much deeper. It's like, "Valerius, I've done what I've done and I have to do in order to keep myself safe."
And that's the
And
fun
that
performance,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
because I think she uses that to make herself seem one way in the public, but another way in private. And I've been doing that. The one that I'm a little bit nervous about is Jahara.
Mm-hmm.
Jahara is she's noble. I guess that's what I'm going to try to embody with her, is her nobility. She is a queen, a true, like, a queen. She has taken the whole continent of Africa, and through sheer force of will used this, like, to get it beyond its colonial past somehow, with her, to really, like, all the damage that was done to try to move it, like, in the future. And so much smarter than me, and so much, but to undo that, how do I incorporate that into who she is? And I'm going to just try to hit, quite frankly, the noble aspects of her. And that's in the next chapter that I'm recording. Jahara comes. So I'm going to try to get that across, and I just don't know how I'm gonna get that across.
It's a challenge, but it's worthy to step up. Like for me, for Tezuka Kawara, I was really like, okay, so it's clearly indicated that he speaks with a Mexican accent, which is not something I feel comfortable with. It's just
Right.
something I haven't worked on enough. So, I shifted and adapted and did different things and went more towards a more sort of Brazilian Spanish sound in the end. Was we spoke more Puss in Boots than more
Right.
modern.
Antonio Banderas, in a way. Yeah, Puss in Boots. Yeah, sounds like that, yes.
And he's charming and nice, right? So I really enjoy him sort of sitting around here and being like, I am a very good petter.
Yes.
Fun. And with the Ilarion for me again, that bitiness that I started running around going, I will break you, doing this. Then I no, that's too that guy. Oh, what am I going to do? So I was walking up and downstairs playing with voices, and one of my neighbors walked past, and I just went, Martin,
Hello.
I will
Hi.
break you. I will
Don't
break you. I will break you, Valerius. What am I doing? It's such a fun job. So wish us well, everybody in the chat, as we go on this journey together.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really and truly, it's, these characters, I love them. I love every single one of them. And like, it's funny, Tez is sometimes the jokester, the lover, but in truth, as you know, his backstory is that he was a miner,
Yeah.
poorest of the poor, left to die with his fellow miners in a mine that collapsed by those who are really greedy.
Yeah.
And in that moment, when he realized that they were going to leave them there to suffocate or, quite frankly, starve to death, is when his Eldaron came to him, which is a gold dragon. And that's how he was able to get his people out. And he has actually taken to task any type of corporations that have come in to abuse people. And Alarion's like basically like, oh, you've scared away, I think May says this actually, oh, you've scared away development. And he's just like, it's not the right type. So though he pretends to
It's
be,
worth it. Yeah.
yeah, it's not worth it. I'm not putting my people through that. Those
That's
who, those responsible companies that want to come here to my territory,
right.
I will support them 1,000%, but I'm not letting my people suffer.
Well, the
Yeah,
advantage of was how I read it. It's this idea of, do you think that corporation coming into your part of the world and wanting to rip, something out of the mountains is really there for you? It's really going to help you? Or do you think they're there for them?
right. Exactly. Exactly. So there's some beautiful, hold on, some beautiful comments that I just want to go through. Silver Moon Wolf says, with the new Dragon Reign taking over, does that mean the original version only voiced by Wraith is completely gone, or can you still find it somewhere? For right now, we are keeping it up on YouTube. It depends on if it becomes too confusing. For members, you are able to, there will be a link. I think a link was provided in an email, and there will also be a link on the new Dragon's Reign page that will take you to the old one, but I really do want you to enjoy the one with me and Edward. I'm honored that you still love the old one, and I know some of you just want to listen ahead again, and just it's comforting, and you want me to go, no, Mew, get down, god damn it, that's always fun. So that will still be there. We are taking it down from Spotify, or we did, because honestly, Spotify's back end is a huge hot mess. A huge hot mess. It's just such a hot mess. So I hope that you will follow us with this version, but you can still listen to the last version. Kiki said, I felt so seen with Jahara. It was beautiful reading about her. I love how she was written and the strength she represented. Yes, she is. I don't know. If I could never be this, but she's like what I wish I could be, I guess is what I would say about Jahara. And Draco Don Stars says, Wraith, when you introduced Jahara, I was like, Wraith, you were invited to the barbecue. That is honestly, the most spectacular thing anyone can say. I am like beaming here. Thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate that. I mean, that was like, yeah. That was like totally I felt like, okay, yeah, I've done good then. I've done good. Um, and I think those of you who have not listened or read ahead, I'm going to tell you right now, she has a really good idea And in a way, her idea does work, except that they're going to be broad. But she's one of the few dragons who isn't, how shall I say? She said, she's just like, I will welcome you all in for the greater good. And that's exactly who she is. That's exactly who she is. Okay. All right. I think just one more moment. I think we'll do one last giveaway and then we'll say goodbye to Edward so that he can go and have the rest of his day. In this case, the word is moonlight. Please put that in the chat. Kat will pick somebody. So put in the word moonlight, MOONLIGHT. And then that person, when we announce who it is, that person needs to contact marketing at wraithrain.com in order to get a code for a free download of Dragon's Reign Volume 2 audiobook.
There you
So
go.
moonlight. Yes.
It's amazing when this happens. I get a little bit of a heart flutter. If there are live people out there across the world sitting here with us right now listening. It's amazing.
I know, right? I know. It's been so cute. Somebody who's been listening to it later, they'll like actually be commenting, thinking it's live. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. We're not here anymore. Okay. So R Valadez, VALDADES or Valdez, R Valdez. Is that who it's going to be? Yeah, that's who it's going to be. That's who it's going to be. Please email marketing at wraithrain.com. Marketing at wraithrain.com.
That
Go ahead.
section, Moonlight, when Raziel starts talking about Iolaire, and my weird brain went back to, for those of you who are classics, the Romeo and Juliet, Look What Light, and also the moonlight across the orchard tops that Romeo is referring to when Romeo and Juliet talk about each other being the sun and the moon. And I was like,
Yes.
did you is that a little bit of a nod for us, or you're not going to tell? But that idea of Raziel talking about Iolaire as the moon, I thought was wonderfully romantic.
It's so funny because, Raziel starts this out with, get out, get away. I don't want you here. I don't want you here. How we go. I live on the Cherokee Trail of Cheers. A coal mining company tried to cremate the mountaintop where I live at one time years ago. Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Mining is.
Ariel. Through yonder window breaks.
Yes.
Juliet.
Yes. Juliet is the sun.
She is my love. That she knew she were. Oh, so much fun. But that's just awful teenagers being in love. Not my favorite one, but I do love how Raziel did have that arc and still wants to smash things.
Oh, of course. Smashing is good. He wants to smash things in front of Iolaire so that Iolaire will clap.
Yes, and preen.
Yes, and preen.
Can I ask you, my own headcanon, is Raziel into monster trucks?
Of course. Absolutely. My God.
The Truckosaurus that comes out the flamethrowers, that's what, yeah.
And then he thinks, I could do it better.
Yeah.
I could do it better. Yeah.
Much fun.
Well, all right, guys. You have been an amazing audience, and you have been with us for over almost 2.5 hours.
Thank you.
Cannot thank you enough. Thank you. We really and truly appreciate this. All your support, the super chats, just being here, the likes and subscribes. Please, if you could, please do like this. Please do like the first chapter. If you can, could you please share the first chapter and let people know who are out there? That would be amazing.
Yeah.
And those of you who can, if you sign up for wraithrain.com today, cheapest one at $9.95, you can listen to the first 15 chapters, or you can pick up yourself a copy of the audiobook, ebook, or hardcover in the shop right now. And we would both volume 1 and volume 2. So it's very, very thankful to all of you for all your support.
Thank you, everyone, for allowing me to be part of this amazing story. Thank you, Wraith, for inviting me to do this. It's my pleasure, my privilege, my honor. And to all of you for listening today as I witter on. I look forward to next time, and I hope you all enjoy Dragon's Reign. Long may they reign, eh?
Long may they reign. May the dragons always reign. Take care, guys. We'll talk soon.